Hey everyone, it's Luke from LT Gaming, and to close out the year I want to talk about the big question that's probably already shouting at you from the thumbnail, unless I changed it last minute and went with another angle. Is X4 Foundations the best space sim of 2025? After years of updates, a full diplomacy overhaul, new ships, new ways to play, and some frankly ridiculous mod support, X4 has quietly turned into the space sandbox I keep coming back to. So in this video we're doing an end of year state of the game. If you enjoy deep dives like this, drop a like to boost our signal across the galaxy and help more lost pilots stumble onto LT Gaming. For anyone new to X4, this is a full-fat space simulation where you can fly anything from a tiny scout to a destroyer, own fleets and stations, run trade routes, and genuinely influence a living economy. You start as a lone pilot, but the game quickly lets you scale up into a faction leader or corporate magnate, juggling first-person cockpit action with big-picture map commands and station building. It's less about a scripted story and more about giving you a functional sci-fi universe and asking, alright, who do you want to be in all of this? I think my West Country accent roots came out quite strongly there. Alright, I'm like a cross between a pirate and some sort of space farmer. The key thing in 2025 is that X4 has finally grown into the game it always wanted to be. At launch it was promising but rough. Now, after years of free updates and DLC, it feels mature, packed with systems and far more approachable than it used to be. The dynamic economy actually matters. Blow up freighters and you'll see shipyards starve of resources. Back a faction with trade and logistics and you'll literally help them win wars. On top of that, X4 lets you scale your ambition. If you want to just be a scrappy pilot in a single ship, you can. If you want to slowly transition into the hands of a CEO running automated fleets and sector-spanning supply chains, you can do that too. The game doesn't force a particular playstyle, it gives you the tools and watches the simulation react. That's a big part of why so many players quietly call X4 their favourite space sim. It's not the loudest game in the genre, but it absolutely nails that feeling of living in a reactive universe. Let's talk about what actually changed recently, because 2024 and 2025 have been huge. In 2024, we had the Timelines expansion and the 7.00 update, which added a scenario-driven campaign, new sectors, an endgame crisis option, and a ton of quality of life features. That was already a big step towards making X4 easier to get into, especially for people intimidated by the sandbox. Then in 2025, Egosoft hit the gas again. Update 7.50 arrived with a full flight model overhaul, rebalancing how ships handle and making cockpit flying feel smoother and more responsive. If you bounced off X4 in the past because the ships felt a bit weird, it's worth trying again now. Dogfighting and general piloting feel much nicer in my opinion. Alongside that came the Hyperion Pack, bringing the legendary Hyperion Vanguard from the older X games, plus a new start and sector. It was a clever bit of fan service that also doubled as a fresh way to re-enter the game. And for me, it's always great to have roots back into X4. Sometimes these sort of games can be intimidating to start again, so it's always welcome. The real game changer though was the 8.00 Diplomacy update and the Envoy Pack DLC later in the year. This update added a proper embassy room to your headquarters, introduced recruitable agents you can send on espionage and diplomatic interference missions, and generally turned faction relations into a whole new layer of gameplay. You're no longer just raising rep by trading and doing missions, you can now manipulate relations between other factions, steal blueprints, sow chaos, or broker peace. It nudges X4 closer to a true 4X game, but still within that first-person sandbox framework. And crucially, Egosoft aren't done. They've confirmed they're already hard at work on the next major free update, 9.00, planned for 2026. The public beta should kick off in early 26 and more details will be coming. The important thing is the post-launch support is continuing. X4 isn't a dead or finished product, it's a living platform that keeps evolving. Well, at least until X5. But I think Egosoft have a strong history of supporting their games even after they've moved on to the next one. Just a quick interlude to say most of you who watch the channel are not subscribed. So make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button because it helps smaller channels like us grow really quickly, and both me and Tom really appreciate it. Now, as much as I'm praising X4 here, it's not perfect and that's important to acknowledge. First up, performance and scale. On a big save with heavy wars, lots of stations and fleets everywhere, the simulation can still bog down. Though I did notice some massive improvements when using DLSS, but I'm not sure how much that reduces the quality overall. I did notice some blurring when I used that option. Egosoft have done a lot of optimization work over the years, but if you push the game to its limits, you'll still notice frame drops and a bit of jank in busy battles. Then there's a learning curve in UI. X4's improved a lot, better tutorials, the timeline scenarios, more tooltips, but it's still a wall of menus and jargon when you're new. The map is incredibly powerful but can be overwhelming, and things like advanced fleet orders or station building take time to properly understand. My advice is that the Steam forum and the Egosoft forums are very good if you want advice. People generally will help you. If you want something you can just jump into for 20 minutes and instantly feel comfortable, this probably isn't it. X4 still demands a bit of patience and the willingness to watch a guide or two. So why call it the best space sim of 2025 when the genre is stacked with names like No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, Starfield, and a bunch of impressive indies? For me, it comes down to breadth, depth, and replayability. No Man's Sky is fantastic for exploration and chill vibes, but you're ultimately one person in a universe that doesn't really react to your long-term actions. Elite Dangerous has that incredible one-to-one galaxy and great flight model, but the background simulation is fairly opaque and your impact is limited. And right now it feels like it's in a holding pattern content-wise. Star Citizen is visually stunning, but the bugs drive me crazy. I haven't actually played it recently, so I should give it another shot, but look, whatever, they took all my ships. I had so many ships. Alright Luke, get over it. Starfield, meanwhile, is more of an RPG with spaceships and a true sandbox sim. Yeah, that game has its strengths, but you can't build a functional economy or run fleets in the same way. X4 sits in that sweet spot where it might not win every category on paper, but overall it's a package that is incredibly strong. It's fully offline, which appeals to a lot of people, fully playable today, constantly updated, and gives you trading, building, fighting, exploring, empire management, and now diplomacy all in one place. It's the game I recommend when someone says, I want a proper space sim where my choices matter and I can build an empire. Trust me, I get asked this question all the time. That's why I'm comfortable calling it the people's favourite. It quietly does almost everything space sim fans have been asking for. And then you have some absolutely incredible mods, and today I want to highlight Star Wars Interworlds 0.9 because it has a new version. I'd like to thank the developer of this mod for meeting with me. He was on the front lines in Ukraine when we had a discussion, and look, it puts it in perspective, right? Some of us are in very privileged positions and we can make videos on games, and other people are making incredible mods while fighting a war. A shout out to you, and I hope you stay safe. Star Wars Interworlds is basically what if we turned X4 into a full Star Wars sandbox. It's a huge total conversion. The map becomes the Star Wars galaxy, factions are replaced with Imperial remnants, the New Republic, crime syndicates, and more. And you're flying around in X-Wings, TIE Fighters, Star Destroyers, the whole lot. The economy, the combat, the music, the ambience, all tuned to feel like Star Wars, but underpinned by X4 simulation. So if you've ever wanted to run an Imperial logistics network or build a smuggler's empire in the Outer Rim, this mod is basically wish fulfillment. It's hit 0.9 and they're still working on it. There are some rough edges and you need all the DLC to run it, but it already feels insanely ambitious and gives X4 an entirely new identity. Honestly, the massive amount of ships they added in 0.9 and the bridge of, say, the CR-90 Rebel Corvette is absolutely amazing. I want to do a full video on this in the new year, I just ran out of time, but you should definitely check it out and support the mod. Looking ahead, I'm excited to see where X4 goes next. With 9.00 confirmed as the next major free update in 26 and a public beta planned for early in the year, we know Egosoft aren't treating this as a finished project. I'm hoping to see continued optimization, even better tools for managing huge empires, and further improvements to new player onboarding so more people can actually break through the initial barrier and enjoy the simulation. I mean, I'd even buy new ships quite happily for this game, to be honest. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. On the community side, I'd love to see Interworlds reach a big 1.0 milestone and more total conversions taking advantage of the engine. So after everything we've seen in 2025, the flight model overhaul, the Hyperion Pack, the diplomacy update and envoy pack, the ongoing work on mods like Star Wars Interworlds, and the promise of 9.00 on the horizon, I think it's fair to say that X4 Foundations has earned its place as one of, if not the best space sim you can play right now. If you've been playing X4 this year, let me know in the comments how your universe is doing. Which factions survived, which ones you accidentally bankrupted, and whether you've dived into Interworlds yet. If you're new to the game and the video nudged you towards giving it a try, I'd love to hear how your first few hours go. Don't forget to drop a like to help beam this out to more space sim fans across the sector, and subscribe to LT Gaming for more deep dives, lists and features as we head into 2026. We've got a whole bunch of giveaways to do this week also, so keep an eye out for those. I've been Luke from LT Gaming, and I'll see you out there in space. The final frontier. Alright Luke, let it go. See you guys later.